Another edition of the Bill Crane Report. I'm joined again with my co-host, Duane Weiss, and we have a interesting subject that we're going to discuss tonight with you folks. It's just Massachusetts, and we're not going to talk about anything other than the state of Massachusetts.
If we can stand it that long.
We got enough to talk about, I'll tell you folks. The first subject, Governor Baker.
Good man.
I'll tell you, I do not recall ever seeing a governor of this state, this Commonwealth, with a 74% favorable rating and 8% unfavorable rating in a Suffolk University poll recently. In his job rating, this is just personal now, 74 favorable, 8 unfavorable. His job rating is 70% approval, 6% disapproval. I mean, these are stratospheric. No, I mean, these numbers are unheard of.
They're phenomenal numbers.
Yeah.
In particular, look at what we sat with for 8 years. The leadership we had.
Well,
with the contrast.
Leadership?
Well, I use that term loosely.
Yeah.
You notice that Governor Baker, he didn't have to spend $60,000 for new drapes and carpets and this and that. His wife didn't have to have a $84,000 a year as personal assistant.
Yeah,
and
right.
He can ride in the SUV they had. He didn't have to have an Escalade.
Didn't have to have a new one.
Yeah.
No.
Oh no, he didn't. What a difference.
I think that those numbers, I think, are in some part due to Governor Patrick. It's a one party state.
Yeah.
But now that he's gone, a lot of his party doesn't have to defend him anymore.
Correct.
Yeah. And now we'll hear perhaps a little bit more about their feelings. But boy, I'll tell you, even the Democrats have embraced Baker. Because he's going to be there for 8 years. You can take that one to the bank, folks.
There's just no shenanigans with him.
No, he is.
Yeah. Anyway, we won't know what's going to happen,
and
but I don't
think
we're going to.
Also, too, that he softened his personality, and they said to him, "Look, Charlie, I mean, you're a great administrator. You got a wonderful record, and you're a heck of a guy. But you got to come on a little bit more user-friendly." And he heard that, because that's what lost him the last election.
Oh, absolutely.
Well, and of course the papers painted him too as being very stilted and, very plastic and all of that, which he wasn't, but they painted him nonetheless because they had to reelect the other.
It's very difficult in the state with the media being what it is. For if you're not one of their darlings, in this case being a Democrat, a liberal Democrat, they're going to smear you every chance they can.
Oh, of course, yeah. It's a sport. It's a blood sport here in Massachusetts. You talk about hunting or something like that being a blood sport. Killing politicians is the real blood sport in this state. But I have a few notes here. So far, he inherited a surprising deficit from his predecessor, Governor Patrick. He's dealt with that quickly and effectively without resorting to cuts on new taxes. But he did it without a whole bunch of fanfare.
That's right.
He just went and did it. You remember with your kids at home, and you say to them, "Patrick, homework, now!"
Yep.
And we had the drama. "Oh, not now," blah, blah, blah.
We all went through that.
Yeah, and eventually, then I had to turn to the Miller High Life to calm myself down. But anyway, he reminds me of a kid that's got homework, but there's no drama. just said, well, okay, I got to get this done. And he just starts doing things. Very effective. He's dealt with the collapse of the MBTA with a number of moves, starting with sending the head, Ms. Scott, into retirement, launching study committees, revamping boards, and appointing his people, qualified business people rather than political hacks.
That's right. That's the key right there.
That's the key.
That is the exact
right.
key. Because so many of our administrations and our functions are all loaded with these political hacks.
Absolutely. I mean, we've got people in elected offices that have never been anything but a hack.
Yep, that's right.
Oh boy, then you wonder why the treasurer runs into trouble, why the auditor is a joke, and
Look what happened to the MBTA this winter.
Yeah.
As soon as something unusual comes up.
And we'll get to the treasurer a little bit later,
Okay,
Ms.
good.
Goldberg. She's an interesting critter. And he's has a long way to go, but he's moving in a positive direction with the MBTA. He's and we need to stop right there, I think, and take a look at the MBTA and its problems. I mean, you had that board that just sort of, well, again, let's fall back to the old word hack.
Yep.
Just sort of a non-functioning board. The director of the MBTA, Scott, she was in La La Land.
Yeah.
And you've got this $2.2 billion in the maintenance fund that's never been spent. Now,
Nobody thought to do it.
well, you know,
Among other things, I think.
I would hate to think that no one knew it was there.
Oh, they knew it was there.
Yeah, but the union didn't have enough time to get all this work done. So they said, sit on that for a while, and we'll bring it on
But
later.
you couldn't farm it out.
No, couldn't
Oh,
farm it
no.
out.
No.
Oh, not with the Pacheco law.
Yeah.
Yeah. And even if you could prove that it would be cheaper and more efficient to farm it out, the Pacheco law is almost like the Treaty of Versailles. There's so many ins and outs on that that it ties everyone's hands. And then, of course, then we had the snow. And we had those pictures of those guys out there.
Yeah, it looked like some had shovels, some had teaspoons, some had a kitchen cup, you know.
There's one good clip where there's 13 or 14 of them, 7 shoveling, 6 watching.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah, that's about the right ratio. And then the MBTA, again, you got to lay this at the feet of Governor Patrick. But we're going to expand the line. You know, we're going to run it to Western Mass so we can hook up the people that want to go to New York and are from Western Mass. So we'll run a New York train out to Western Mass, do a 90-degree and go south down.
Even closer to home. How about taking it to New Bedford or Fall
Yeah,
River?
yeah.
Why?
Oh, well, of course, they had that dream, too, about running it down the Cape.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll get it out there, too. Where is the ridership going to come from?
It's not.
Because it's not. But when you undertake something like that, isn't there payback that you need to pay that debt off by increased ridership?
Even the Greenbush project, on paper that thing looks so good because that Route 3 on a daily basis, I don't know if you ever got caught in that thing. It's stop, go all the way from Marshfield down, all the way down, Plymouth on up. You'd think, now that would have been a perfect place for it.
Yeah.
And after all the years of fighting and fussing and that having to put up with that Hingham group, oh, we don't want to go through our town. You have to have a special tunnel. You got to do this. You got to do that. So you finally get it going. And now the ridership's not near what they had anticipated.
Oh, no. Yeah, absolutely. And you know, I talked to my boss at work. So, I get this idea. How much is it going to cost, Bill? Well, where's the payback, Bill? We're going to get some new accounts. We're going to get some enhance our base. How long am I going to get paid back for this public relations move you want to make, or the new brochures you want to come out with, or that kind of thing. And then, of course, you're going to have to go around the country and sell it, so your travel costs are going to go up. Explain to me the payback. Well, does anybody ever have this conversation? No.
And that's not part of that type of, that mentality is missing.
And you know why? Businessmen talk like that.
That's right.
And instead, we had, college professors, sociologists, do-gooders, and just people that party faithful. Well, she was on the Democratic Town Committee in Duxbury and was the chairman, and boy, she's our loyal, and she's our go-getter. She gets things done. Let's put her on the MBTA board.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and then she said, well, what's a train?
Yeah, what's a train?
Yeah. What's the difference between diesel and electric power? Yeah,
why should you have an AC instead of a DC motor on a...
Yeah.
I couldn't believe that they didn't know that. In the 27 years ago, 22 or 25 years ago, the last conversion across the country was made. MBT still sets the wrong way.
Well, the size of the cars are another thing. We've got different size cars for some of the different lines.
Yeah.
So when you got 3 cars that go down on the red line, you can't take 3 cars from the green line and put them in there because they're the wrong bloody size.
Yep.
They won't mate up with either the landing platform, or they're too long to make a couple of the hairpin turns.
It's mind-blowing. It is. It's like the Three Stooges designed the system, or running the system.
It's like going out in the woods when you were a kid, catching salamanders or something, turning rocks over, and when you're down by the brook, look at this one, and every time you turn a rock over, you find something new at the MBTA.
Yep.
And then you got the Commons Union. Well, they said, we're going to fight this. Fight now. And then they talked to a public relations firm, and they came out with these butter would melt in your mouth ads. We want to be part of the solution.
Oh, yeah.
We're not part of the problem, and all we want to do is be asked. We've had 20, 30, 40 years experience guys here. They know the answers to these questions, but nobody asks us. Well, yeah, because when we ask you the question, they said, that's not in the union contract.
Yep.
Yeah, we can't. We can't talk about that. Yeah. So, or it'll have to be part of the next bargaining agreement. So, but now, apparently, the Commons Union has had a change of heart and has decided that. By the way, they're running polls. There was that article.
I think the
this
Commons
morning.
Union, like everybody else in that group, is a little bit afraid of Mr. Baker.
Well, I'll tell you what, he's getting it done.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. He stopped the Boston Convention Center expansion and has sent it back for intensive scrutiny. Here's the Boston Convention Center. They built it, but guess what? Nobody ever came.
Yeah, it's not building it, and they will come.
Yeah, building it, and we'll avoid it. And it's funny because I jotted down a couple of notes last night about the South Boston Convention Center. It's not meeting projections for filled hotel rooms. It's operating at a loss and using overly lofty goals for Boston as a convention hub.
Mm-hmm.
They maintain that if we add on to they maintained that if we built the damn thing, would be a top
Oh,
5
destination for
convention
convention.
center.
Yep.
Eh, Gee, can we think of anything that's wrong with that reasoning? Well, how about being shut down November through April?
Yeah.
Because there isn't anybody that's going to hold a convention in Boston, especially after this last snowstorm filled winter
Start
season.
basic, just basic.
Yeah.
Geographic location.
So, if they're out as a top 5, just jotted down a few places: Tampa, Orlando, New Orleans, Atlanta, Biloxi, Houston, Dallas, Phoenix, Las Vegas, LA, San Francisco, Palm Springs, and San Jose. They're 12-month-a-year convention
Locations, yep.
sites.
Mhm.
So Boston, in 6 months, is going to do twice what they do in 12 months. Do you have a picture of that?
Yes.
Yeah.
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 Um,
And by the way, now, my little geographical exercise here did not include New York, Philadelphia, Chicago, Denver, and others
Mhm.
that will do a better job of citing conventions than Boston will.
Well, look
that
at
have more to offer.
Look at the McCormick in Chicago.
Yeah.
You must have gone out for trade shows.
Oh,
there.
yeah. Yeah.
I mean, they are giant, and they're well attended, and they're geared for these things.
Yeah. Absolutely. You've got, and I forget what it is in Philadelphia, but that's a
Yep.
big convention site. We had held one of our, when I was with the Foxborough Company, we had one of our major shows there. Chicago, yeah. Denver, you got New York, the Javits Center.
Yep.
Come on. I mean, we're not a top 5 outfit. And he recognizes this.
Yep.
And he said, time out.
That was smart.
Okay. We're going to send this one back for some more study. That'll never pass. He pulled the sale of the bonds, and that stops it dead in its tracks.
And the excuse was, well, if we make it bigger, we can draw in bigger groups.
Yeah.
You're not going to take these groups away from Las Vegas. You're not going to take the Consumer Electronics Show out of Las Vegas. There's no way that you're going to draw that.
Are you gonna take the big electronic shows out of Silicon Valley too?
No.
San Jose, San Francisco. You're gonna Boston's got a lot more to offer than those places. Yeah,
Those
right.
places that you named first, you got to remember, these convention goers are people, and a lot of them are not there totally to go to the convention.
Well, no, and a lot of them are allowed to bring their wives and or girlfriends.
Would you
or
rather go to
significant
East
others.
Overshoe, New Jersey, or San Diego?
Yeah. Well, how about Orlando?
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot more to do in Boston in
Oh, yeah.
December than there is, Tampa, the Gold Coast, or New Orleans, that's, it's pretty tacky. Boston's got a lot more going for it. You got Biloxi, you've got convention centers in Biloxi, you got casinos in Biloxi, you're right on the Gulf of Mexico. I mean, you just go on and on and on.
To think that just because you expand it, make it larger, these giant groups, these giant conventions are going to come here. They're not going to do it.
Larger is not necessarily better.
Better.
Absolutely. I think another thing, too, with the governor is he's reached out to the Democratic leadership, and he's got House Speaker Bobby DeLeo pretty darn close to being about 100% on his side. Now, DeLeo, for a Democrat, is very conservative fiscally.
Yes.
He walks the other side of the fence socially, on social issues, but on fiscal issues, he's pretty tight-fisted. And he runs a pretty tight ship there in the House. So, yeah.
Maybe too tight.
Yeah. Right. Agree with me,
or your office is going to be in the basement tomorrow.
Yeah, or let's do away with this two-term business for the speaker. And
Oh,
it
yeah.
passed
All of a sudden.
unanimously. I think one guy voted against it.
Yeah.
But I think the Senate President, Stan Rosenberg, if you listen to what's reported on TV and in the newspapers, he's got a very independent streak. He's very, very liberal. And he wants to do a lot of...
Do you know that we had an anniversary this past week or past couple of weeks?
No.
It's been 5 years since we had a Speaker of the House indicted.
Glorioski.
Isn't that something, huh?
Bobby is buddying up to the governor, so maybe we'll keep that streak intact for a while.
We might not, though.
Might not.
Because remember, he's
an
got some
unindicted co-conspirator.
And that axe could fall any day.
Yeah. And the only thing I would say in DeLeo's defense is he was playing by the rules everybody else was playing by. But in his position, he should have stepped back and said, time out. This is wrong. We shouldn't be doing this. But you know, it is so ingrained, the patronage thing.
It's a way of life here.
So ingrained that it is the only way these guys know how to operate. I liken it somewhat to Jamesbury Corporation up in Worcester. That was a major subcontractor for us when I was with Foxborough. We did a lot of work with them. And they couldn't issue parts off the shelf. I could be standing up there and saying, now listen, I need 4 repair kits for 4-inch valves. I'm looking at 100 of them on the shelf. Give me 4. Computer's down, Bill. I can't issue them. Can't you write it on a piece of paper and issue it after the fact? Isn't worth my job, Bill. And I said, you know what? I said, if that computer ever come out with a report that said at 10 a.m. next Tuesday, everybody in the plant stopped breathing, every one of you people would die.
That's right.
Not one of you can think. And that's kind of the way it worked with patronage. You got to go along to get along.
Yep, I wish, you're a native, I'm not.
Yeah.
And I was shocked when we moved here.
Really? Yeah.
How business is done.
You know,
we lived in another town before we came here.
Yeah.
We've been here in Norfolk now for 30 years, 32 years, something like that. We've been in Massachusetts for almost 40. In the previous place we lived there, we were real close with the neighbors. And needless to say, the man of the house there had a little trouble reading. He was, I think, functionally illiterate. Because we used to go over there for parties, and they'd come in, we'd go over there Christmas Eve, and I used to tell him, and say, read this, and he'd stumble because he couldn't do it. Everybody'd laugh. He'd laugh too because he had about a few years. And one day he says, his wife says, well, you got a new job. I said, he's going to work for the tax department. She says, funny, huh? She said, he can't read, but he's going to be in the tax department. Yeah. She says, because he knew I'm not going to say this, he might still be around, I don't know. He's a good friend with him, and he got him the job. And I said to my wife, I said, what is he going to do there? You know, play tic-tac-toe with himself? Because he can't function, he can't read, other than for a 3rd, 4th grade level. But he got the job.
Yeah. We went in to the State House to do some lobbying against some hunting and trapping bills that were introduced by a lady that was a nutcake. But they were gaining some traction with some people. So we went in to see some of the legislators, and some of them said, well, you know, go talk to this guy, go talk to that guy, this guy's a good guy. Because there was a lot of guys who were on our side, sportsmen. And now go talk to the chairman of the committee. And I did. I went in and talked to him, and he said, yeah, I'll kill the bill. He said, no questions asked. It'll never see the light of day. 2 years it'll be gone because it's just the beginning of the session. Talk to my aide, will you? So he left the room, and the aide said, well, $500 check to the Senator's reelection committee.
Yep.
You know, we had 600 members of the Mass Trappers Association. That's quite a few.
That's a good sized organization for a state like this.
So I went to the next meeting, and I explained to them. I said, that's 80 cents a piece so that we can continue trapping our hobby. They wouldn't do it. We had money in the treasury. I said, I'll kick in the $500 as an individual, okay? Not the Mass Trappers Association. But I expect to be recompensated. They wouldn't do it. I went in to see another guy, and he's alive and well today. Still, he's about 100, and he's a clerk of courts in one of the courthouses, and same thing. He said, "Talk to my aide," and the aide said,
There's a position that yields a lot of power.
"A check for the Senate, the Representatives Re-election Committee will take care of that." How do you want him to vote? I want him to vote no.
Yep.
Okay. No problems.
Oh yeah, it's just
And it just went on like that. Anyway, I could rave forever about that stuff. But I think to finish up with Governor Baker, he's demonstrated a confident, upbeat personality and a very high likability quotient, which is something that has been lacking in the corner office for the last 8 years.
and when he does something, it's for the benefit of the Commonwealth.
Yeah.
It's not a benefit for this item, this group, or this group, or this group.
Yeah, or a battery
Yeah.
manufacturer that you think has a chance to make a major league breakthrough as far as...
I like the aspect that he killing the tax credits for the entertainment, for the film. That is so
there was no
dumb.
payback for that.
No.
No, but these Pauls then get to hang out with the actresses
Yeah.
and the actors, and they get their pictures taken with them and blah, blah, blah.
And the Teamsters got to charge them outrageous fees for everything.
Yep. But bottom line, he seems to get it.
Yep.
He's a quick read and a confident leader. Democratic pollster Celinda Lake said he's very nonpartisan, very likable, and very positive. David Paleogolis from Suffolk University said voters see him in control.
Yep.
Isn't that what leadership is all about?
Absolutely.
You know? Yeah.
And he relates to the common citizen.
He does.
Absolutely.
He does.
When he would not take that palatial office of Patrick's, but took his office, was one of the aides' office prior to that. And he said, well, I'd be afraid to go in there. I might spill my coffee or something and ruin a $50,000 desk. You know, everybody reads that paper and says, well, that guy makes a lot of sense.
The common man
Yep.
understands that.
Yep.
Yeah. Now, obviously, he's going to have a problem or two that'll rear its ugly head.
Absolutely.
But you know what? He'll get the ship back on course.
Yep.
This guy, I'll tell you, and I mean this, this guy has the traits of a Mitt Romney.
Yes, he does.
And Mitt Romney being defeated by Barack Obama in the last election will go down as one of the stupidest things the American public has ever done.
You got that right.
And you know what? Now, Governor Baker said, I will never run for president, because somebody asked him in a press conference, when are you going to go for president? He said, I'm never going to run for that. You know, that's what he has to say right now. I mean, I think he'll be an 8-year governor, because Maura Healey, who the liberal wing of the Democratic Party just thinks the sun rises and sets on her.
Yep.
And we're all set to anoint her as his opponent in 2018. Said, there's no way. Count me out. I am not running for governor. They've taken it to heart. They're not trying to convince her otherwise. She's made it perfectly clear. So now they've turned to Carrot Top, Representative Kennedy.
Yeah.
And you know what? I give him a lot of credit.
Yeah.
In that he sort of said, I'm not ready for something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think Baker unless he does something really crazy.
Yeah, gets hooked up into some kind of scandal. of
Yeah,
some type. Yeah.
something. Yeah, I think he's in,
Mhm.
but I've been wrong before.
Haven't we all?
Yeah.
If we had never been wrong, we'd be rich.
Yep. And on energy, the governor said his administration is behind coordinated efforts with other New England governors to upgrade the region's national gas pipeline system and importing large amounts of hydroelectricity from Quebec to ease skyrocketing energy costs.
Now that's common sense. That again relates to everybody in this state. We pay almost 62 or 63% higher electric rates than the rest of the country does. That's inexcusable.
It is indeed. And you know, Governor Patrick, though, didn't want that stuff.
Pipeline?
Because he was hoping that renewable energy sources would kick in.
Mhm.
And if we did that, then we wouldn't be spending the money on research and underwriting some of these companies that are going to make the miraculous discovery of the battery that never runs out of energy or whatever. And you saw all of those companies go out of business or go down the tubes or be sold to the Chinese.
Yep. Have you been getting all the calls lately for renewable energy?
Oh yeah, all the
They
time.
want to put the solar things on your roof?
Right.
I get 3-4 of those a week now.
You know what you ought to do? What I did. How long will I be paying this mortgage? That's essentially what
Well, sure it is.
Yeah, 30 years.
Mm-hmm.
And how much are the payments again? But you're going to give me the panels for free, but I'm going to pay for them 16 times over by the time I get through.
Absolutely.
I mean, give me a break. And who's going to fix these things, these free panels?
You try to shovel your roof that's full of
Yeah.
solar electric bats?
Yeah. So Patrick also backed away from moving forward with the other governors, saying he needed more time to study
Always study.
the issue.
Plus, I always thought, this may not be a fair judgment. There he's got his mansion in the western part of the state where they wanted to bring pipelines through that area. And he's got commitments to those areas, and people don't want him out there, so he's going to fight it all the way.
Green radicals,
Yeah.
The college professors, the wackos, contribute a lot of money
They
to
do.
the Democratic Party, but they want to be heard. They want their oar in the water. And I'll tell you what, the way he kowtowed to them, the way that he bent over backwards for the Greens, shows me that he has got ideas about running for president.
Oh, I don't have any doubt at all.
Yeah.
He's a carbon copy of our president.
Yeah,
president.
right. Yeah.
I mean, you put two of them in a bag, pull one out, you don't know which one you got.
Boy. And Baker also put through the early retirement plan, which, by the way, the Senate president didn't like.
Oh yeah,
And
I
he was
saw
going
that.
to stop that. And then very quietly, it all passed.
Yep.
And Baker got his way. And he signed it into law. Cheapers, creepers. I just think he's done a heck of a job. All right, I think we've talked about the governor long enough. I think if he were a baseball player, we'd be ordering his bust be cast for the Hall of Fame out in
Yes.
Cooperstown now. What do you got for a next?
Mine is a little bit more earthy and down to and local.
Well, you're a earthy kind of guy.
Our friend that's sitting at Walpole that wanted the sex change operation.
Michelle.
Yes, good old Michelle.
But I don't understand why the press continues to refer to him as Michelle.
It's
nothing-
PC. There's nothing female about it. No, but they do that.
Yeah.
It's a PC thing. And when I saw in the paper that the Supreme Court said no, I think everybody in this state, with the exception of a dozen people in Cambridge and Brookline, said yes.
You know,
And we got that the Judge Wolf.
Wolf. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know where he's coming from.
You know, he was supposed to be the second coming, highly respected jurist and all of that. But what the devil is he talking about here?
I don't know. And we talked about $500,000 for the taxpayers.
And you know damn right well when they start digging and cutting and snipping, it'll be $1 million before they're through. This is look. When you go to prison,
Yep.
by the way, we call it penology.
Yep.
Yeah. It is punishment.
That's right.
Okay? So, look, suck it up, buddy. Okay? Yeah, we don't crack rocks anymore or have road gangs,
Nope.
but you don't need sex operations. Get over it.
No, what did the group, the GLAD, called it? Just inhumane.
Yeah.
Total suffering.
How about him beating his wife to death with a hammer?
And
That was inhumane too.
And putting the coat hanger around her neck. And
Yeah.
Almost decapitating her.
Yeah.
And dumping her body at Emerald Mall.
Yeah, but that was humane
Oh yeah.
because he was a doctor.
Yep.
And he was stressed because he was a woman living in a man's body. Does that make, are you folks at home, you understand all of that? That's unbelievable.
I don't know.
I,
I'm
let's
not
have
sure.
a-
I'm not sure who's living in my body right now. So. But it's not that. I'll tell you that.
Let's have your next outrage.
Where are we on this headlight law?
Oh, well, you know, I suppose the laws of libel, I know we have the First Amendment here, and we can speak our mind. I think we just tippy-toe around the name of the
Yeah, just
individual here.
Leave the
That-
name away. That's all right.
The fellow from the House of Representatives
yeah.
that jammed this bill through. You know, it's a $5 fine.
Can't administer it for the $5.
Well, guess what else comes with it?
The insurance surcharge.
Yeah, now, so this is good for the insurance companies
And bad for the state.
and bad for all of us.
Yep. Who it thinks about these things? Where do they come up with these asinine, idiotic ideas?
Do you suppose?
The idea of the headlight itself is not a bad idea.
No, it's not.
It's a great idea. New York State's had this for years.
Yeah.
But when you cross over the state line from Massachusetts, you go into New York State, I think it's $100. You get caught with if your wipers on, your headlights on, it's $100, not a $5 charge.
In Canada,
and there's nothing
Canada,
with insurance.
Canada's the same way
Yeah.
and has been for probably 20 years. But I gotta believe, and this is probably hard for you to believe, coming from the Midwest and not being ready yet.
Try me.
But do you think the insurance companies may have influenced
I would be shocked.
and, you know,
Of course.
lobbied these people and but to show how dumb it is.
Yeah, that's right. You can't label it any other way. It's plain
It is
damn dumb.
The taillights are included
Yep.
in the law, and in a lot of vehicles, like the land scow out there that
The
I
land yacht,
drive,
yep.
the headlights go on, but the taillights don't.
Right, the running lights, or
Yeah.
driving lights, whatever
Yeah.
you want to call
And so that means I have to put them on manually now. Yeah, good luck on that. I'll never remember till I get my first $5 fine. But guess what, though? There's a move afoot
That's what I thought.
in the State House, and it is I believe it's a budget bill. It's a spending bill. Let's put it that way. It's an appropriation, and they're going to tag onto it that they're going to drop the insurance surcharge.
And make the fine at least make the fine to cover the processing costs.
They won't. They're not going to change the fine
That's ridiculous.
because they know that this is very unpopular. And if it's one thing that the great and general court of Massachusetts knows is, I don't want to talk anybody off because I want to be reelected because I love the trappings of the office and I love the pension that will come rolling my way. But I've got to keep getting reelected. And if people are really ripped off about this bill, well, we're going to have to calm it down so the people are not disturbed.
Here's a quote. The drivers of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts can be relied upon to use common sense when deciding if headlights are needed.
Yeah.
How many times have you driven down the road and it's pitch dark out and you meet a car, you ain't got no damn headlights on?
It happens all the bloody time, yeah. Now with the automatic headlights.
Yeah, the automatic will bring them on.
Yeah, but there are some makes, and I think it was Chrysler.
Mine don't come on automatic. I got a 2014 Camry. They don't come on automatic.
They don't?
Nope.
Well, wow.
Monica's Corolla does, but mine doesn't.
So you must have got the basic package. You didn't get the next package up.
Well, she's got the basic package. I got the next package up. That's just the way the design is.
Wow. Wow. That's incredible. Holy cow. So you have to put them on manually every time you get in the stupid car. And then pull into your yard and forget to shut them off and have a dead battery.
Well, it'll let you know if you don't shut them off.
Well, my wife has a new Subaru, which she loves. So by transfer, I love it too, because if she's happy, I'm happy.
Yep.
But I got to tell you something. They got an insidious design for their headlights. Stick the key in, fire the engine up, drive off. The headlights and the taillights both come on. So far, so good.
Yep.
Pull into the parking lot. My wife said, okay, I'll only be a few minutes here at Walmart or wherever the hell she's going. And I said, well, all right, I'm just going to sit here in the car and rest. I don't want anything in that store. So now, do you think a normal person would leave the keys in the ignition? Do you realize that in a Subaru, when you shut the engine off and you leave the keys in the ignition, the headlights and the taillights stay on?
Okay.
And I got out of the car at home because I was going to get right back in it. I left the keys in the ignition. Well, my wife said, you don't have to do that now, for God's sakes. Supper's almost ready, blah, 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 blah. The light stayed on, had a dead battery.
Yep.
Had to have Rochi come up and give me a jump.
Yeah, there you go.
So now I can't leave the keys in the ignition. Mm-hmm. That's a good feature or not, I don't know.
Cars have gone over the years, and I don't want to go off topic, but one time we went to Florida, and we rented this big old Chevy Impala because her brother and sister were coming to join us, so I wanted something that would all fit. They weren't coming until later, so we picked up the car. We had to wait till 6 o'clock for them to come, so we said, well, let's go over to the coast and just walk on the beach or do something. It was hot. Oh my God, it was hot. Then I had, regular jeans and heavier shirt on, so I said, I'm gonna just jump in the back. We put in the parking lot. I said, I'm gonna jump in the back seat here and just change into some shorts. They had the air conditioning. I said, all right, so I just left the car running. When I shut that door, it had a feature that when the door's shut with the motor running, the door's locked. Now, the car is running. We're standing on the sidewalk, and it's locked. Now what do we do?
Yeah, you call AAA and
That's
ask
what it
them to
is.
bring a Slim Jim over, and
The first thing they asked me, where are you? I said, I don't know where I am. I'm standing in a parking lot. Well, what do you see? I says, I see we went to this restaurant bar. I see a wharf. And he says, is it to the right of you or to the left of you? I said, it's to the right of me. He says, all right, I know where you are. And I felt like such a damn fool standing there with the motor running in the car and the door's locked.
I did it. Right down in, I dropped one of my cars off down at Rochi's for some work.
Mm-hmm.
I get out of it. I accidentally hit the stupid button.
Yeah. Oh, you can
Slammed the door. And Kevin said, "Where are the keys?" I said, "They're in the car."
Mhm.
And he said, "Okay, all right, fine, just leave them there." I said, "Just a heads up, I accidentally locked them in there." Called me quite a few names, and then went and
Yeah,
got
it happens
the
to all of
tool.
us.
And,
Yeah.
yep. Jeepers creepers. What else you got?
Oh, I want to go back to, we were talking about the MBTA.
Oh yeah, and I just want to go back and correct something too.
Okay.
When you said when we were talking that we're reasonable, oh, that's not part of the game plan
No,
here. No,
not at all.
I just want to make sure people understand that.
Today's Globe has an article. While these people were shoveling and doing the red lines, they discover there's a jet dryer or jet blower sitting in the train yard. And it's been there for a long time.
Nobody had the keys to start it.
They hadn't pulled maintenance on it since it'd been used in 2006 or 2005, that blizzard then, very effectively. The excuses were, one of them, we didn't know it was there. Two, we hadn't pulled any maintenance since 2005 on it. And three, it would require a diesel engine to push it, so they'd have to shut off the third rail. Well, so what? Can't you shut the third rail off and push that thing down the tracks and clean the whole thing all at once instead of 85 people with spoons?
Yeah, if it does the work of a couple of dozen people.
And it does it instantly.
I mean, come on.
In 2005, it cleared all the tracks everywhere. You can't make this stuff up.
You can't. But you know what? Well, let's get way off track here. Heretofore, the Globe would never have written these articles.
No.
Never.
Not. You're right.
And now I'm not saying they're fair by any stretch of the imagination, but there are a smidgen of articles now finding its way into print where the establishment is being criticized. And also, of all people, they're also bashing Hillary Clinton around.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There's been several articles that are
there
a
sure
little on the
has.
derogatory side.
Yeah, and they're following the New York Times lead and the Washington. Is it the Post or the Times?
Post, I
down there?
think.
Okay, yeah, that are printing unflattering articles about her, and in fact, I think it might have been on CNN too, of all places, the Clinton News Network, that there was a guest commentator on that suggested that Hillary could not carry Bill around during this election. That somehow or other she's got to distance herself from him because he really thinks he's just way above the law. Well, of course she does too, but they were saying about some of the decisions he's made about that fund of theirs that really are suspect, to say the least.
That's going to blow up.
Yeah, I think it is too. And I'll tell you what will blow it up will be the day that they convince our Cherokee princess that, well, maybe for the
Cherokee
good of
princess.
the party.
Okay.
And then it'll be open season. It'll be hunting season on Hillary Clinton.
It will be.
And they'll bring her down, death of 1,000 cuts. But if Elizabeth Warren is true to her word and stays out of this, well, I'll tell you. By the way, there was something mentioned either in the Globe or on in the Herald that in this, since she has declared for the presidency, she's answered 9 questions.
Oh, yeah.
9. And the guys from the Republican Party that go up and walk around New Hampshire mingle with the voters and probably answer 100 questions in a day.
And she's almost insulted if you ask her something.
Yeah, yeah. Unbelievable. Well, anyway, how about Marty Walsh as mayor of Boston? I think he's a big story.
Yep.
But lay it on me.
I give Marty a mixed grades. Some things good and some things not. I think he's tried at some point to shed his union affiliation background, but he can't totally do it because he's owes too many people in that.
He has got a great big U tattooed on his butt.
Oh, absolutely, yep.
And he is a union guy, up one side and down the other. There's nothing going to change.
No.
Now, I really believe, by the way, he has raised $1.61 million,
Yep.
which eclipses Tom Menino's throttling of people.
Mm-hmm.
He only, in 1 year, raised 1.51. So Marty is learned well from Menino
Oh, yeah.
about arm twisting.
Yeah, I was going to say strong arm, but arm
Yep.
twisting's a better name.
And he's getting a lot of it from the unions.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I think that unless, well, I tell you what, I'll skip right to I wrote an open letter to the mayor of Boston.
Well, let's hear it.
Wake up, Mr. Mayor. You're looking at being a one-term mayor, and it's going to be all your own doing. Ayanna Pressley is young, articulate, energetic, and attractive. If she cuts deals and is the only minority running for mayor, you're all done.
Yeah.
If the minorities of Boston coalesce behind her, your goose is cooked. Don't believe me? Look at the colors and languages you see and hear on the streets. Your only chance at re-election is if you do the following. Dump the Olympics. Get away from that. Run away. Work your tail off to break up gangs and make the streets safe. That's job one.
Yep. Clean
up the schools. Ditch the 72 excess and inept teachers that are costing you $6 million. Any way you can, and try to rid yourself of the union forever reputation you're stuck with. Support charter schools. Stand up and call the MBTA out for exactly what it is, and work with Governor Baker to clean it up and reform it. If you don't take these steps, you're done. You'll go in the book as a one-timer.
Very good. Excellent job.
And I don't think Marty Walsh is a bad guy.
I don't either.
He's a politician, which immediately turns, you say to yourself, well, boy. But for a politician, I don't think he's the worst guy in the world. I think he'd be a good guy to have a couple of beers with, but he doesn't drink anymore.
Yep.
I guess he used to go wacko when he used to drink. So wise man knows his limitations. But you know what I'm saying? I think he'd be a good guy to shoot the breeze with.
Yeah.
But I think he understands exactly what I said in that letter. And he's going to want to go back into the union hierarchy if he is dumped out of office.
Yeah.
So he's got to maintain his ties.
It's going to be interesting when he really has to butt heads as the mayor against some of these trade unions.
Exactly. By the way, there was a huge article in the Globe. The governor stopped the convention center dead in its tracks. And there was a big article in there by the head of the trades union that had Marty Walsh's old job. Now, he never talked about the benefits of that to the people. Never talked about how it was going to make money, because it isn't. Never talked about anything that would be a plus for the city of Boston, except it would provide work for union steel workers, carpenters, electricians, because and good pay too, a living pay, so they can live in dignity and support their families. Well, why don't we just go on nonstop building? We'll build schools in Walpole, we'll build senior centers in Bellingham. We'll put up other state buildings, courthouses everywhere that we don't need,
Yep.
but we
Keep them
will
working.
keep them working.
Yep,
And
exactly.
that is insanity.
Yes, it is.
Absolute
But
insanity.
it's that mentality, though.
By the way, I do have. I know we got the signal here that we're running out of time here a little bit, but you know, one of the well, here's a quickie. Sarnaev, the young
Yep.
man that's in the penalty phase now of his trial, the odds have changed dramatically on this. Now only 20% of the people favor the death penalty, and I think it's
But that's a pattern in the state.
yeah. I think
You
it's
get all here, and all of a sudden, it's like somebody flees to the other side. Well,
Yeah.
then two more, and then they all, like lemmings.
Don't you think when you're faced with an exchange of ideas, you can be on one side of the fence, but when it comes down to actually making a hard decision and pushing the button to release
Yeah.
the poison to kill them, then people back off. 60-something% favor life in prison, and then there are the Walking Dead, the potheads, or whatever that don't know. 12 or 15%
They don't believe he's guilty.
know.
They don't believe he's
yeah,
guilty.
maybe that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think that as soon as they said he was going to go to that supermax, if he didn't get executed,
Yeah.
where it was really supposed to be tough, then you had to. Everybody says, well, that'd be better. But now they're finding out he may go there, but he probably won't stay there.
Well, you know another thing too. People get queasy about sending these guys to some of these really bad prisons. Oh, what the heck should they go to a Holiday Inn
Yeah.
or something?
Some of these federals where they're like country clubs.
Yeah.
Where
yeah.
Martha Stewart went. you
Yeah,
know.
Martha Stewart way. Exactly. Was that the two?
Yes, I think
Yeah.
so.
Well, friends, we got no place on this subject. We got a whole bunch of subjects left to go. So I think that maybe we should just next time around. Well, you know what? We got most of the major ones, though.
Yes, we did.
Yeah.
We stayed on topic.
Yeah,
Mostly.
we did.
A lot better than we usually do.
There's a couple of these that I
Yeah.
would like to talk about the next time we talk about them, but we probably need to go off in another direction. And I think that we've sat and watched the police be targets for bullets, and then we've seen police abuse come out. This time we probably tackled that subject.
Maybe we could, Black Lives Matter, all thing that's happening.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Because, look, there's good and bad on both sides of this
Absolutely.
problem, and I think we better make some decisions so that the country knows which way to go.
Yep.
All right. Very good, folks. Thank you again for tuning in.
Yeah,
we
we
really
appreciate
appreciate it, and I know that there are other things on TV that are perhaps glitzier and have more beautiful people, but you're not going to be enriched any better than by staying tuned to us. And with that note,
Yeah. Tell your friends and neighbors about it.
Absolutely.
Even if just to laugh at us.
at the next show, we'll have a firm schedule of exactly when the report will be on TV. We'll give you all those numbers. In the meantime, have fun, enjoy yourself, go Red Sox.
Go. Thanks a lot.
Good night.